Cole Hartley sat alone in a shadowed booth at the Crossroads Cantina on Meridia Station, his fingers wrapped around a mug of synth coffee that had long since gone lukewarm. He knew exactly how long it had been untouched: 23 minutes, and that fact alone felt like a personal indictment. The cantina was overflowing with Frontier Eve crowds, merchants finalizing rushed trades before the station shut down, miners celebrating with drinks priced well beyond reason, parents herding overtired children toward the residential rings where the real festivities waited. Frontier Eve marked humanity's first successful leap beyond the core worlds, a holiday meant for hope and gratitude. Cole had stopped believing it either 3 years earlier. Festive lights were strung along exposed conduits, casting the room in shifting shades of gold, green, and deep red. Station operations had even programmed artificial snowfall, tiny flakes of recycled moisture that vanished before landing, but still filled the air with the illusion of old Earth winter. Children squealed as they tried to catch the flakes on their tongues. The cheerfulness felt relentless. Cole wanted no part of it. His communicator buzzed again. Dominic Reyes, of course. Dom had been pestering him for hours now with messages meant to be encouraging and were mostly just irritating. The latest read: still sitting there looking miserable. "She's coming, Cole. Delays happen." "Stop brooding." "I'm not brooding," Cole typed back. "I'm being realistic." "She's 41 minutes late." Dom's response came instantly. "You showed up early because you're incapable of being normal. By sane math, she's only 30 minutes late. That's not how time works." "That's exactly how time works when you're trying to keep your best friend from spiraling." Cole shoved the communicator back into his jacket. Dominic had been at his side for more than 2 decades. Basic training, border skirmishes, pirate uprisings, even standing beside him at his wedding. For the past 6 months, Dom had decided it was his duty to pull Cole back into life by force if necessary. This blind date was just the latest attempt. The idea had come from Penny, his daughter. That alone had ended the argument. "She found her Frontier Eve wish," Dom had said quietly. "The one where she asked for someone to make her dad smile again. She wanted you to know it's okay to be happy." That sentence had hollowed him out. So here he was, waiting in a cantina decorated for a holiday that reopened wounds he barely kept closed, expecting an alien woman named Venari, whose profile Dom had deliberately hidden. "Trust me," Dom had said. "She's right for you." Cole had trusted Dom with his life. That didn't mean he trusted his matchmaking skills. The cantina doors slid open, letting in a wash of cooler corridor air. Cole looked up without thinking and froze as a Thessari woman stepped inside. The Thessari were long-standing allies of humanity, one of the few species humans found instinctively beautiful. She was striking silver-gray skin that seemed to glow beneath the lights, dark hair flowing straight down her back, pointed ears like something from ancient fantasy. Her eyes were a vivid green, alive with light. She wore an elegant silver outfit that walked the line between ceremonial and formal, and she carried a small wrapped parcel. Their gazes met. She smiled, warm, genuine, a little nervous. Something in Cole's chest tightened. Then she walked past him. She stopped at a table near the windows, greeting a family who shared her features. Cole slumped slightly. Of course she wasn't here for him. Why would someone like that be meeting a widowed cargo hauler, whose greatest recent achievement was surviving another anniversary of his wife's death? He checked the time. 44 minutes, he should leave. His communicator buzzed again. "Dom, just heard from Starmatch. Her shuttle broke down. She's trying to get alternate transport. She's stressed and apparently brought you a gift. So try not to be grumpy." "I'm not grumpy." "You're grumpier than Sergeant Morrison." Cole almost smiled despite himself. A Corellian waitress stopped at his table, towering over him with her blue skin and 3 kind eyes. "Another coffee?" she asked gently. "You look like a man dreading a blind date." He blinked. "Is it that obvious?" Sweetheart, I've worked Frontier Eve for 12 years. I can spot it instantly. She topped up his mug and patted his shoulder. Sometimes the best things arrive right after you've decided to give up. Moments later, a shadow fell across the booth. Excuse me, a melodic voice said. Are you Cole Hartley? He looked up and nearly dropped his cup. It was the Thessari woman. Closer now, slightly disheveled, water staining the hem of her outfit, hair hastily tied back. She still held the package, though it looked a little worse for wear. Yes, he said quickly. That's me. Relief washed over her. I'm Venari Vorath. I'm so sorry I'm late. My shuttle malfunctioned, then my translator kept sending me to the cargo bay, and she stopped, clearly flustered. I ramble when I'm nervous. Cole laughed. A real laugh. One he hadn't heard from himself in years. Please, he said, gesturing to the seat. Sit down. She slid into the booth, graceful even now. Up close, she was even more captivating. Her eyes held flecks of gold, her smile soft and slightly mischievous. She pushed the package toward him. It's customary for my people. Inside was a finely crafted compass, engraved with unfamiliar symbols. On the back, in standard lettering, were 3 words, Find your way. Cole's throat tightened. Rachel had used those words, always. This is beautiful, he said quietly. Venari watched him carefully. I hope I didn't upset you. No, he said, it just reminded me of someone I loved. She nodded, understanding in her eyes. They talked. For hours. About grief. About children who were wiser than their parents. About guilt and survival and the fear of letting happiness return. When Venari's skin began to glow softly as she spoke, she explained shyly that it meant she felt safe, connected. Don't apologize, Cole told her. It's beautiful. Weeks followed filled with stolen time and growing affection. Penny adored Venari instantly. Talon, Venari's younger brother, tested Cole with fierce protectiveness before grudging acceptance turned into genuine respect. Then came the offer. Thesser Prime, a dream position. A choice that threatened to tear everything apart. On New Year's Eve, Venari arrived at Cole's door with Talon and a decision already made. Her brother had written to the academy himself, refusing to let her sacrifice happiness again. I'm staying, Venari said, her skin glowing brighter than ever. I choose this. I choose you. Penny burst in moments later, demanding answers. We're a family now, Cole said, and for the first time in years. The word felt real. Months later, they returned to the Crossroads Cantina. The same booth, the same lights. Cole held Venari's hand, feeling grounded, steady. She produced a small box. Inside was a ring of Thessari promise stone. Cole smiled and revealed his own. Already home, he thought, and this time he knew he wasn't waiting anymore. The weeks that followed felt unreal to Cole, like life had quietly shifted tracks without asking permission. Venari moved into his quarters gradually, at first leaving small personal items behind as excuses to return. Until one morning Penny announced over breakfast that Venari's boots were officially part of the household, and therefore Venari was too. No one argued. Life didn't suddenly become easy. Cargo contracts still ran late. Venari's medical shifts still stretched long into the night. Talon still oscillated between sullen teenager and fiercely loyal family member. But the days no longer felt empty. They felt lived in. Cole noticed it in the small things. The way Venari hummed while reviewing medical reports, unaware she was doing it. The way Penny insisted on showing Venari every drawing, every school assignment, as if seeking approval that mattered just as much as her father's. The way Talon started lingering after dinner, pretending he wasn't listening while Cole and Venari talked. Absorbing what stability sounded like, grief didn't vanish. It softened. It changed shape. Rachel was still there in the quiet moments. In the photograph, Cole kept tucked in his jacket. In Penny's laugh that sounded too much like her mother's. But the pain was no longer a wall. It was a memory that could exist alongside something new. The wedding wasn't elaborate. They chose the observation garden overlooking Meridia's slow rotation, stars drifting behind transparent ally panels. Humans, Thesari, Corellians, and half a dozen other species filled the seats. Dominic stood grinning like he'd personally engineered the universe to make this happen. The Corellian waitress from the cantina showed up uninvited and claimed a front row seat. Penny walked down the aisle scattering petals with dramatic seriousness. Tellin followed, arms crossed, pretending the role of flower boy was beneath him while executing it perfectly. When Venari stepped forward, her skin shimmered with soft silver light, unconcealed and unapologetic. Cole felt the familiar tightness in his chest, not pain this time, but gratitude so intense it almost hurt. Their vows were simple, honest, promises about showing up, about choosing each other even when fear whispered otherwise. When Cole slipped the Thesari promise ring onto Venari's finger, the compass rested heavy and reassuring in his pocket. Find your way, he had. Years later, Human Thesari medical and transport cooperation became a case study taught in colonial academies. Not because of treaties or politics, but because of something far more difficult to quantify: trust. Venari rose through the medical council ranks without ever leaving Meridia. Cole's cargo company stabilized, then expanded. Built on reputation rather than desperation, Penny grew into a brilliant, outspoken teenager who informed anyone willing to listen that her family was statistically improbable and therefore superior. Tellin composed music that blended human and Thesari harmonics, pieces that carried grief, hope, and healing in equal measure. On one quiet Frontier Eve anniversary, Cole returned alone to the Crossroads Cantina early just to sit in the same booth. The lights were strung the same way. Artificial snow drifted lazily through the air. VNAR, I arrived late. Exactly 40 minutes. She slid into the booth, glowing faintly, smiling like she had that first night. You waited, she said softly. I always will, Cole replied. Outside, Meridia Station continued its endless rotation through the dark, carrying lives, second chances, and promises kept. And inside a crowded cantina, a man who once believed his life was over understood the truth at last. Some beginnings don't arrive on time. They arrive when you're finally ready to stay.